Hi everyone, and welcome to Whole Foods for Healthy Living. We're a plant-based nutrition cooking class, and today we're going to be making a vegan 3-bean chili, which is easy, economical for your family, and one of the easiest dishes you can make. We're going to be using basically a lot of food for the ingredients from the can today, and the reason for this is to show you on those days that you just don't feel like cooking, you want a break from cooking, how easy a meal like this can be, and at the same time very nutritious for your family. So today what we're going to start with is, just going to set the tomatoes over here. We're going to dice up some onions. And you kind of want a large chunk on this, and the reason for that is we don't want it to disappear into the chili. We want to have some substance to the chili since we're not using any meat in our chili. This is totally vegan. And that's about the only chopping we have in this recipe, which is kind of awesome. We're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil to our pan. And this is for sauteing our onions. Just going to turn the heat on here. Heat that oil up. And once our oil starts to get hot, we'll add our onions to it. Some of the other ingredients we're going to be using today is we have 1 can each of kidney beans, 1 can of cannelli beans, and 1 can of pinto beans. And if there's a particular bean here that you don't like, of course you can alternate it. You can use a black bean in place of something, a navy bean, whatever your preference might be on that. So it's 1 can of each. We're going to be using 1 can, it actually calls for crushed tomatoes, and these are organic. I like Muir Blend because they are BPA free. Today though I didn't have crushed, so I'm using whole tomatoes, and I'm going to put them in the Cuisinart food processor and just kind of break those down a little bit for our chili recipe. Another ingredient we're going to be using is chopped green chilies, and we're all familiar with those with many Mexican dishes. And we're going to use the whole can in the mix. I diced up 2 green onions, and we have some little tortilla chips that we're going to use on top, and then we have some homemade vegan all-American cheese which we're going to be using as well. You can also purchase any vegan cheese in the store, and again I'm using our homemade one. It's what I teach in my cooking classes on how to make cheese, and they're very flavorful. In our spices, I have a tablespoon of my all-purpose organic seasoning, which is like Mrs. Dash. I have 3 tablespoons of chili powder. I have a teaspoon of organic sugar. You can also use a teaspoon of agave. I have, a half a teaspoon of marjoram and 1 teaspoon of cumin. So let's see, I think our heat is going good. I'm just going to put our onions in. We're just going to get those to cook until they're light in color and broken down here. Now we just like to have our soups and stews, a little chunkier, so if you want it, you can cut your onions smaller than this if you'd like. You can also use your choice of onions. It doesn't have to be a yellow onion, but that's, what I'm using today. So we're just going to let those cook down. Now again, this recipe is all about being quick and easy today. So, brown rice takes about 45 minutes to cook. And so today what we're using is just brown rice in a bag. And as you can see here, I'm just going to bring this over. It takes 15 minutes to prepare. You just place it in boiling water for 15 minutes. And what I've done is put a little drainer here, and when I lift the bag out, I kind of just let it rest in there and drain some of the water out. So we'll be using that in a little bit. Okay, so while our onions are cooking down here, I'm just going to take our tomatoes and I'm going to add them to the food processor. They're real big chunks. But at the same time, I wanted you to see that if you didn't have crushed tomatoes, that there are some other options here. And I'm just going to pulse this until it breaks it down. That looks pretty good. Some more. That's all there is to it. Take the inside out. And there we have our crushed tomatoes, so it doesn't get any easier than that. So what I'm going to do now is add our garlic. Stir that around. And I think I'll add our green chilies. If you don't like a lot of spice, you might want to just use half a can here. And let's see, let's go ahead and add our all-purpose seasoning, our sugar, our margarine, our cumin, and our chili powder. And I'm just going to blend all that together. Okay, we're going to add our tomatoes. Let's put that all in there. Now if you have a large family, you can double this recipe, you can triple the recipe. This is going to serve maybe 4 servings. I'd say 4 to 6. So if you, like I said, have a large family, you may want to double this recipe. Some of the way. And then we can just start to add our beans. So we have our pinto beans. These are cannelli beans. And our kidney beans. And remember, this is a chili, so it's going to be a lot thicker than if you were making a soup. So we're just going to let those all cook down. Just going to add a cup of water here in case I want to just lighten that a little bit. Beans do soak up a lot of liquid, so you might want to add just a little water. Okay, now what I also like to add is a couple tablespoons of soy sauce, tamari sauce. This is Bragg's liquid aminos. And this is going to add a lot of flavor to your chili. There really isn't any restriction on this. You can add some tofu to this dish. You could add some tempeh to this dish, or seitan, some sausages. So if you do want to have a meat, but today I'm just kind of showing you how to do it so that it's just completely vegetarian, vegan, without adding the even the alternative meats. Okay, that's really all there is to it. We're just going to let that heat up. And what I'm going to show you next is Again, we're going to be using brown rice as one of our sides, but we're also going to make today a Caesar salad, except we're using a buttermilk dressing, so I don't know if you really want to call it a Caesar salad. I'm just going to chop off the end, and then of course, you know, we just kind of tear the leaves up. This is a nice refreshing salad to have with a spicy dish like chili. Just going to tear our leaves. Kids would like doing this part. So now for our dressing, I'm going to actually have to give you the recipe to this. But what we do is make a dried seasoning mix. So I use 2 tablespoons of dried parsley, 1½ teaspoons of dill weed, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of dried onion flakes, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of dried chives, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And what I do is I mix this all into it's kind of like a coffee grinder. And we just put it in there. And it's going to make a little noise here, I apologize. And you just want to grind this up so it's very fine. And it's going to create a little bit of smoke here. And then what I do is just add it to a little container that has the lid. And so now what we're going to do is we have our mix for our salad dressing. We're going to take, let's see, I'm going to use a 1/3 cup of buttermilk. Now you can just use soy milk, almond milk, whatever non-dairy milk of your choice. I happen to make a homemade buttermilk. And again, we teach this in our cooking classes. So I'm going to use a 1/3 cup of the buttermilk, which is going to add our tartness. And we're going to add a 1/3 cup of vegan mayonnaise. So turn this heat down a little bit. And as you can see, chili's looking really good. Spoon here. What we need is about a 1/3 cup. There's lots of choices in vegan mayonnaise in the store. So you can kind of taste which one you like the best, and everybody has a preference. So we're adding a 1/3 cup of vegan mayonnaise. And we're going to add a tablespoon of our mix. We're just going to whisk that around. few croutons. And be sure when you buy the croutons, they're also dairy-free, that they don't have any Parmesan cheese in them. Also, you want to make sure that they're free of hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils or any high fructose corn syrup. So you want to get a healthy version of this, or you can make your own from your own bread. Just going to add a few of those on there. And you can add some vegan Parmesan cheese if you'd like to do this. There are many brands that you can get in the grocery store. You can also use a little bit of nutritional yeast. It's a little bit different than brewer's yeast. You don't want brewer's yeast, but nutritional yeast has a cheesy flavor. A lot of times they use that on the salad. You can also use, take your nuts, like Brazil nuts, add a little bit of nutritional yeast to them, and grind those up in a grinder. And you can also roast those, and it makes a wonderful Parmesan cheese. I also teach how to make a hard Parmesan cheese in my cooking classes, so that would be a nice addition to the salad. The chili is looking good. Turn this off. Let's see if you can see the inside here. And you can see it's nice and thick, not too runny, perfect consistency. And that was just really quick and easy to do. So how we would plate this up. Again, when I serve anything, I like to try and make sure that we're getting some grains, we're getting our vegetables, we're getting beans, and a combination of different things. I'm just going to take a scoop of our rice, put it in there, spoon out some chili into our bowl. Add a little green onion to this. Top it with some of our American cheese. Will melt nicely in there, and a few of the tortilla chips. I want to add just a little more rice to this. And you can also top this with a little bit of parsley if you like, for a little green look. Some arugula on top. And there you have it. Quick one-course meal, chili, brown rice with cheese and tortilla chips and a little green onion. We have a nice salad with our croutons, and it's filling for everyone in the family. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.